And to the old members that have found their way back to the community, I need you just as much as you need me. In this evening's live, we do have a possibility of a little bit of bullish momentum as we talked about yesterday during the live. I've seen a lot of back and forth in the comments, not in the live here, but over the day or throughout the day from my earlier update, and even last night after the live. Some people are saying bear flag, some are saying bull flag, and both, ironically, in this case, would be right. It's just we created a smaller bear flag, as we just tumble over there. We created a bear flag at first, but the way it pulled up, and that's why we had the evidence yesterday to suggest that this might have turned into something a little bit more than it started out as. And that's why I said yesterday during the live, I think we very well could have snuck in a sneaky bull flag here. And the way you would see this structure, now I'm going to have to put that back, but that's okay, is that even though we had this big drop and some are going to say, oh, Tom, there's a huge bear flag, that's true. But when it came back up like this, you can argue that it actually created this bull flag here. So that's what I'm looking at. So if you have a breakout, right now we're signaling the potential of about 10% move roughly for the totality of this move. But we still have to confirm it, and that would happen if we get over the 507 level. So right now I'm optimistic. I'm more bullish than bearish in the short term at least. And like I said yesterday, I would consider this a relief rally, if anything less. Happens besides coming up there and get a rejection. That would just be a relief rally. But there is an opportunity here that this has bottomed, and that if we break up here and we do get on top of 54.40 and then we start to bounce out, we do have a lot of chances here to right the ship, but it's going to take a little bit of work. It's just that I don't want anybody to forget, in the weekly sense, we know we're on a cup and handle right now, and we're on a very bullish handle until it gives way. Right now, if this just comes up past 507, and it makes me feel even more bullish, because right now in the weekly sense, all we've had were wicks down. So we have not even broken the structure nor the integrity of this cup and handle formation. That's a very scary and very bullish proposition if this does not break down. And in fact, by Sunday, in the next 3 days and 1 hour, we are above 507 and close. And in fact, let's just say we got over, it's going to take a little bit of work. So I don't think we'll get over 60. But if we get over this 507 level and have a close that we've seen on the other chart, because this one only suggests to have this handle support, it's about, I'll say 508 to play it safe. If we get over 508, it's a huge sign of strength for the fact that we did not give way in this weekly, and it would just be a wick that broke down. See, oftentimes a lot of people have the fear within the wick. You can't. Everything is told within the body of the candle. Wicks are what activate liquidations. Wicks are what end up swooping out the hands that are not ready to hold for the proper amount, or just for the ones that were swing traders. This is the intention of these wicks. It's a nice liquidity grab, and it oftentimes happens before a big move. Now, that big move could still be to the downside. It's just if this wick pulls up, it could show us different evidence here that could be starting to happen. Bye, Mimi. Drive safe. So we have to at least give it acknowledgement that if it does break down here, that we could have a little bit of a bearish cycle here. But if it does pull up here, and right now, last week was a wick. This week, it could very well be a wick. So if that's the case, we know that cup and handles break bullish 85% of the time. At least that's what I've come to understand studying them. If we look at just a slightly different chart, this is the all-time formation. Although we didn't come all the way down here and hit the uptrend at right at about 38.5, 39 cents, we came pretty darn close. We came pretty close. And if this continues to pull up, it could invalidate the entire drop and start to just reconfirm the move up. See, this was the breakdown point because we didn't expand into that zone. So that told us we had a little bit of correction to happen. I like to keep that up just so we can see if, in fact, if we do come up there, if it ends up being just kind of like a back test here for a further drop, or if there's something more substantial. So it seems like something under the radar here is trying to build. But until we start breaking past some of these levels, it's still very early in the prognosis here to say, oh, it's just going to happen and we've invalidated this drop. There is a very a very well way to look, excuse me, that this is an inverse head and shoulders as well, as we've talked about for many days. And I actually got something sent to me from FE4 Life here this evening, and I actually seen it just a little bit. I was just looking at some stuff from some of you that have sent me some emails. I didn't even see this one. I'm going to have to look at what Stanley sent too. We'll look at that in a minute. We're going to look at that as well. But there's one that I wanted to show you on this point with XRP. And then we'll get into the intro. We'll do what we got to do, yada, yada, yada. But remember, positivity over negativity. You know, we want to be loving, not hating. We want to be cohesive, not divided. So I think this is a very nice way that FE4 Life shared this. Remember, he sent this before this right shoulder. He updated it now with the current prognosis of where the pattern's at now. As we can see, we're very close to breaking out of this inverse head and shoulders. And we can already see a beautiful W reversal, a nice consolidation. That's why yesterday I was trying to hammer home the fact, even though some of it could have got lost in the shuffle, about if you are trying to sell half of your bag now, I don't think that's necessarily the right play here. We've already dropped 30%. We already had a nice drop, and then we've recovered a little bit. But I don't necessarily think that selling half the bag to buy it back cheaper is the right move. I personally think if you're looking to buy some cheaper, but you're not fully intending on selling XRP, I think you just need to, however you can do it, have to stack money up as the time is given during these consolidations or during the rallies until a pullback. I think we have to have our due diligence, if we have it within our financial power, to have extra money on the side instead of selling out and hoping, you know, that it comes down, because there is no guarantees, especially in crypto. And this very well could play out in a very big inverse head and shoulders. And when we look back on it, I know he's showing you the right side of it, but just take a look at the left side and what's developing on the right side. That's a mini inverse head and shoulders on the right side, but if you include the left, middle, and right, that is a much larger inverse head and shoulders. And if that's the case, this is how we get out of here and back to the promised land. So just keep, you know, pay attention to what's going on out here in front of us, and don't let your emotions throw away something that's so good. Don't let some fear knock you out of something you know is the right move. Right before, the ironic part is here, to sell right now is pretty interesting, because why, if you sell here, why didn't you sell at 60 or 70 or 80, or even recently at 60 when it came back? This is the part where it gets dangerous. This is where you could cost yourself a lot of money by getting out during a normal consolidation. That rising channel has not technically given way yet. And FE4 Life, thank you so much for that inverse head and shoulders on that right now, because it does show a lot of what's building here if you look at it in the higher time frames. It's been the argument for a long time if this plays out like that. And it goes back quite some time. So we'll see if this is what's playing out, because it's pretty interesting what's starting to develop here. Or I should say in the shorter time frame here too. But you can see how this is trying to drag out. And if this plays out, it's going to play right into that inverse head and shoulders that was shared by FE4 Life. It's going to play beautifully into it. Or out of it, I should say. And this is a sneaky bull flag that very well could have formed. That's exactly what I'm seeing here. Is a sneaky bull flag. Right now we're signaling the move up. I think it's about 8% from where it's at in this area. Let's just do it from about here in case of a back test. It's still about 9.25. So it's still looking at about a 9.25 move at minimum here, if we do get the technical breakup. Obviously there's a 200-day resistance there, but that's at the 1 hour time frame. 2 hour is actually right where it looks nice at. So I think we're in a pretty good spot here to have a rally up right now. And that's why every day you got to pay attention. One day it can look overwhelmingly bearish, and now we have the chance. Just because we say there's a chance, we're on the verge. So saying it's on the verge of signaling that move, or on the verge of confirming like I put in the title, you would still need to not just break up. Right now we signaled the potential of a move up here to 54.40. Now to confirm it, you need to get up on top and hold that 507 level, period. End of discussion, point blank. Otherwise, this is just a fake out because you'd get hammered by the rising channel resistance. That used to be support. But this very well could turn out to be a very nice recovery here. It really could. Look in the weekly. If this pulls up just a little bit farther, like we talked about in the weekly time frames, at no point in the weekly have we closed below that rising channel yet. So, for that fact, this could have been a beautiful, and I don't want to say a double bottom because we didn't come down there a second time, but it could be a very nice bottoming formation. So, time will tell. Time will tell. But we'll see if it plays out bullish or not. But in the daily time frame, it sure as hell looks more bullish than bearish as well. This could be leading up. Even this is the thing. We have a death cross in the daily. So just because it comes up there doesn't mean, oh my God, this has gone bullish all of a sudden. You could very well be coming to hunt here as it meets in here in the next couple of days and just get a rejection here on the 20-day. That's not uncommon. I would say it's unusual not to get that rejection if you flip bearish. So I think we're having a relief rally here, like I said yesterday. So I think that's what's going on. I'd love to hear in the comments what everybody says. We'll get into the intro here because we do have some reading to do as well. As we can see Bitcoin's up 3.8% roughly, but we do have a little bit of reading. We'll talk about just one thing, how the cryptocurrency whales, and I want to show you how a lot more are leaning bearish now, which makes me lean kind of the other way when the mass media or the mass articles start to look at more of a correction scenarios, because we've already had the price correction. So anything further than this would be to have confirmation to the downside. But I think this is an interesting article. So when we get into this cryptocurrency whale stir up Ripple XRP market, price correction looms amid uncertainty. So we'll see after we go through and we have an educated and informed response or an actual thought process of what we think is going to happen. We'll make sure to go back to that article. And then what Stanley was showing, he sent me this about the Stablecoin Act. And this is very, very interesting. So we'll definitely go over this together, everybody. We'll definitely go over this together. And we'll read this. We'll read some of this together. And thank you, Stanley, seriously. Thank you for sharing this with me. So we'll definitely read through some of this. There's 179 pages. So obviously, we'll take a look at what it says. Because this is a payment stablecoin act that was introduced. So we'll try to get a little foothold here. And then over time, we'll go over this as a community. I think we have a lot to offer. And it's not just because of me. We have a very special, dedicated audience. And because of the acts of yesterday, it really helped me redefine my focus and kind of turn it up a little bit mentally. So I feel very good. I feel like we're going to have a nice, productive audience here this evening. And even if we don't, it's going to be a very positive and very momentous evening this evening. Because we're going to learn a lot, not just about the charts, but some of the acts that have been introduced. And we'll take a look at some of the other articles that may confirm or contradict what we're trying to say here, and we'll have to balance it against what we know and what we see. So please make sure to hit that like button so YouTube can recommend this live. I came on just a little bit later at 7 instead of 6:30 just so I could be on to lead into the daily close. I figured today was a very important evening to get into the daily close because of where XRP's at in the pattern formation and the potential at a relief rally. I'd say going from where we're at now, we were talking about the relief rally at 47.8 cents. So I think it's doing pretty much what it needs to do. Even yesterday, we were at 48.5, 49. So I think it's going up in a relatively nice fashion here. Bitcoin's doing what it needs to do, up 3.85% to help this push help get a little confirmation. And Bitcoin's not looking terrible here. It looks like it's trying to come up and at least seek a rejection here on the 20-day and the daily, if it's going to get up there. But right now, the most important thing for Bitcoin to do is make sure that this 63,900 is not a rejection. Because if that gets rejected there, this could be a fake out and the confirmation to bring us down. But one thing that I see that is actually making me a little more intrigued here is the fact that Bitcoin, when it was coming down, almost looks like it came down in a weird channel here. A little bit of a wick above and below. But if that's the case, this could be signaling a reversal here. We'll see what happens. You have to get over this uptrending resistance here. But this could have very well, like we showed in the opening with that weekly candle, this very well could be nothing more than wicks, and Bitcoin could actually have remained bullish, as it could have been a gigantic liquidation event to liquidate the longs just before the longs could have capitalized. So we'll continue to watch this, and now we know an overwhelming majority is going short right now in the hopes and prospects that crypto is just about to collapse. So, and we know if it does break down 49,537, if it gains some steam, gets back up on top of this formation, 86,269 is that target. So we can see it's a pretty wide differential here of almost 40,000. So for the ones who don't think technical analysis matters, oh, it matters, because you want to know if you're on the right side of town or the wrong side of the alley here. It's never good to be in a dark alley on the wrong side of town. So we want to make sure that we're on the right side of town and it's a well-lit area here. So that's what we're looking for. So with that being said, good evening. 7:17 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Thursday, April 18th, 2024. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So please make sure to hit that like button if you are watching, so that YouTube recommends the live. It allows people to find my content, whether you're new or older. When you're scrolling through the feed, you'll see it through the news feed. That's how I get pushed through the algorithm. And one thing happened on a video from 11 days ago. I had 11,000 views on a video from 11 days ago. It's the first time I've ever seen this in my analytics. It didn't just say YouTube recommended. It said YouTube advertising. So we might be starting to trigger some higher, and that's not because of just me, that's because of the audience as well. We might be starting to trigger YouTube to put us into the next verse here. So hopefully, you know, in the weeks and months to come, we'll see more of that, because that's the first time in 3 years I've ever seen it say that. So hopefully they're finding it worth their time, and they're making a little bit of money by advertising the content because people are watching. And when they play their commercials on my channel, they're making a little bit of revenue for themselves, and then they'll push my content. That's the only hope we truly have here, is to work together and for YouTube to acknowledge that we actually exist. If you're looking to trade XRP, especially in these high times of volatility, in the USA and worldwide, BITUNIX, no VPN required, no KYC unless you're transferring from a bank account or withdrawing to one. From exchange, deposit, or withdraw, you don't need to do it. And they have the lowest spot and leverage trading fees that I can incur in the USA. So it's that simple. Take advantage of it. They're up during high times of volatility, but that's the only time I'm going to talk about this evening, until maybe the very end. So that's in the pinned comments and or video description below. And then if you do appreciate my work, consider sending one YouTube super chat per month, or joining Tom's Army. You know, so I do really appreciate everybody who's tuning in. We have 74 likes right now. Please make sure to hit that like button if you are watching, if you want to see this content expand a little bit further through the reach. So let me get into the comments here. Is anyone living in this house? Then we're going to get into this hot and heavy. I think we did a pretty good job here in the intro to at least enlighten everybody about what we think is happening. But now we can have a more active discussion here, as I'm privileged and blessed to see so many people still here, even in the high times of uncertainty. So I do appreciate seeing that. So let's see this now. Let's see. Jordan, welcome in. Thanks for being in Tom's Army for 1 month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. Appreciate that. Coffee, John, and Ryan Haynes, welcome in. Yes, we're above the 50.2, but now we need to get above 50.7. We want to get back on top of that rising channel resistance. Excellent eye, my friend. Excellent eye. Rob Holkerlick and CJ2 Pilot, welcome in, along with XRP, Ricky Ripple, and Wales, Josie Wales. Thank you, all of you, all four of you, for being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XRP Meteor. Excellent to see you guys continuing in that. Mark Casson, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for 1 month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. As sure as the ground as I'm standing here, and the haters that we do bring into here, which is good, because, you know, the haters bring in the lovers. That's what I always find, a unified response. That's my face superimposed on that emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. Mario Louise Willamese, welcome in, and I always appreciate seeing that name. Will Rob, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 2 months with the Dusty's Outhouse Crypto News emoji badge. Charlie, welcome in, along with Chris Kokomore. And Charlie says, bye, 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 and hello, Chris. Welcome in. Tanya, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. I really appreciate that, love. More than you know. We'll take a look at H-Bar this evening. I have an hankering, however you say it, to take a look at H-Bar this evening. Randad, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 2 years with the XRP 589 Moon badge. Hopefully you're having a blessed evening this evening. Let's see. JW, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. I hope you're having a blessed evening as well, my friend. I hope you're having a blessed evening. UK Phil, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XRP Meteor. Stouffer, Marvin, Alan, welcome in. Yeah, Rob, there's been a lot of people that have commented. If you go back through the last couple days, they're saying that they sold 50% of their bag, and then they're going to buy back when it hits this next bottom. Although this next bottom is not confirmed, if you were going to sell 50% of the bag, I firmly believe that should have been at 60 cents to try to catch the drop we had, and I made it. I've told people about that, and there's some that actually listened to that advice because one was buying a car, and others had to pay bills, so that was my suggestion if you had to sell. Nick Morales, welcome in. Mandoline says, I sold half my bag the other day before going to court, then I won my case. Congratulations on winning your court case. That's music to all of our ears. Let's see. MC Prosperity, welcome in. He Who Believes, Lonzo, welcome in. I appreciate that you love the content, He Who Believes. He says, I'm up over 10K XRP Future Millionaire here, not selling until $100 XRP, only buy more. Very, very interesting. At least you know what you're looking for, my friend. At least you know what you're looking for, and you have a strong conviction. I like seeing that. No FOMO, MC Prosperity, and Khan, welcome in. Appreciate everybody. Matthew Toulay, welcome in, and thanks for joining Tom's Army. Thanks for being in Tom's Army for the first month here with the emoji badge and me being abducted by aliens. You have just made me the happiest person in the world today. Look at that. Look at that. Mandoline says, when we get through all the BS going on in this world, nothing will do better than XRP. Whoops. Nothing will do better than XRP. It has the most partners. I agree. I think it's going to end time. I agree with you. I do. I really do. I appreciate that, Wales. I'm glad that you love the community. We work hard here to build it into a positive forum. Sometimes I got to get a little, if anybody's seen the update this morning, that was a by design update. And I think I got the message across. Donald, welcome in. Says XRP Millionaire still buying more XRP. Buy 2 for $1. Yes, sir. That's the honest to God truth. When it's 2 for $1 or more, it's not a bad buy. It's not a bad buy. Brandon says he's waiting for his approval on the KYC. Hopefully that happens in a very swift fashion. Bob Bertner, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for 2 months now with the emoji, with the Dusty's Outhouse Crypto News. Jordan says hit the like button, and yes, don't disappoint, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for 1 month with the emoji badge and me being abducted by aliens. Brandon, welcome in. True, thanks for tuning in as always, my friend. Good to see you in here as always. I'm glad you're still around. John Hall, good evening, brother. Hope you're having a great evening. Epitox, welcome in. I hit the like as soon as the commercial is over every time. Stupid commercial. But hey, that's the only way that YouTube will push the content is if they could put an ad on all of us. If it makes everybody feel better, I have to watch the ad myself. I know all of you know it's true when I try to show my own content. Trading with J-Ride, thank you so much for the $10 donation and also being in Tom's Army for over 2 years with the XP 589 Moon badge. He says, congrats to Tom's Army. Hit that like button. Yes, indeed. And now we can get into this. He Who Believes said, I listened and gained another 3,000 XRP. So you did. All right. So somebody did take that advice at 60 cents just to gain more. And that's not because I was personally selling. I was just giving advice when some asked where the easiest or best spot would be if you wanted to add some. And a lot of people were saying they just didn't have the capital to add more. So I said if I was taking a chance, that's where I would do it. Not that it was guaranteed to work out, but fortunately in this case, maybe not next time, it worked out for the ones who did it. Free Toast, welcome in. It's certainly been a heck of a long time. I'm glad to see you in here. You're one of the OGs from when we barely had anybody watching. Now we've got over 21,400 subscribers. I can't even believe I'm saying that, but it's pretty crazy. Louisville and Curley, welcome in, and thank you both for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. I greatly appreciate that. So now, hey Tom, so what was that loud ass bang sound that hit your house the other day when you were live? We still don't know. We still don't know. The only thing that we heard was there was an explosion in Detroit, but there's no way. That was some 30-something miles away from our house. I can't see that. Maybe a little bit farther where it actually hit. Maybe it was inside of 35. I just can't see that that's what caused it, but it was pretty crazy. It was almost like an implosion in, so that's why it was interesting. Especially when some from the other parts of the world that were watching were trying to do a search. And some that were in Australia, somebody who was watching White found that it was just breaking news in Detroit right as that was happening. So that was pretty interesting. But I think it was probably something to do with the high winds. We had high circulating winds. We ended up having a storm. It was either later that night or early the next day. I think it was swirling around. So that's probably what it was. But you never know. It was just crazy it got caught on air. But yeah, it's I still don't know. I still don't know. So when we're looking at this, everybody, don't lose hope. If you're going to lose hope and you want to make sure that this is going to break down, or if you just are like, you know what, I need to know the bottom line. How do I know if something's wrong? The bottom line is if this gets a rejection here, as we're coming up this uptrending support, we've got, I'm just calling it 507. Unless we're on top of 507, we're going to have an issue if we can't break above that. If this weekly pulls above that, we've got plenty of time, just plenty of time, we should be in good shape here. And we can see what we would have to do to get back in good shape. We would have to not just break back. Oh, I forgot. Remember, I have to move that chart back. I remember I said that earlier. But it's not just up. It's in good shape just by getting over. We do have a couple things we have to clear here. So let's not act like we're already out of the woods. We still have to get out of this short-term pattern. I'll get to the comments. Hold on one sec. I wanted to finish going through the stuff, but we still need to get up and over, which we've got over the first layer, and we need to hold here at about. So if I was guessing, just going out on a limb, if I was guessing after the close, it depends what their objective is here. If they're trying to shake some out before, they'll probably bring it back down to 496 area. If they're content on this 4-hourly closing right here, but I still think that because this is a reversal candle and it's not a overly powerful reverse. I mean, it's a nice one, but it's not going to be over that 504 level or 505. So it's a nice reversal, but I could really see this starting out as not a completely engulfing candle, but starting out as an engulfing, breaking its way down to like the 497, 498 probably, and then proving that it's an engulfing candle and pushing out if this is bullish. This is showing every signs of a reversal candle. And if you're asking about a technical trader who would trade with leverage, what their idea would be, what they're definitely trying to do is make sure it's over. Well, first, you can take that shot if it holds the 498, 497, or you buy it out of this candle and just say, "Oh, I don't care what it does. This is what it's going to do. And I believe it's going up from here." But you really want to make certain you're above that 505 or 507. Anything over that 507 on the weekly sense, we should be coming up to 544. And even the smaller time frames would suggest that if this can just hold serve here. So it could very well be pushing into this right now. Could be pushing in this right now. 1970 says, "Go Bucks, curious of your H-bar research coming up." Yes, we will look into H-bar. The Bucks are going to have, I think, if I'm being honest, and no, it's just by coincidence that I'm wearing a red shirt today. You know, the Red Wings are here. That's why I'm wearing red. But it is a it's a Clausen shirt. It's Clausen Pride. It's not my fault they made it red. No, I'm kidding. But I think if we're talking about Ohio State, I think they got the inside track. Now, I'm not into politics. If I was forced to choose one over the other, I do like Trump more. But listen, politics I'm just not a part of because I know the central banks run the world. So whether it's the left or the right, I know they're just trying to divide us, just like with race, just like with everything else. So I don't fall victim to the whole right or left, Trump or Biden, yada, yada. I like when Trump's in there because it's more, when you have somebody like that who's business-minded, you get more of the, less of the government handouts, it's more, let's just put it this way. When you have the one side in, You get more of the government assistance when you have the other side in it. It's more beneficial to the workers. You know, the ones who aren't looking for the government assistance. I don't know what side everybody's on, but I can tell you, you know, you shouldn't base your decision on politics. Just understand the central banks run the world and nobody has our best interest at heart. How about that? How about them apples? Because we expanded the money supply under every single president in my lifetime, which means they all are in it together. So, but yeah, that's just how I feel. But I like, personally, I liked when Trump was in office because it was funny when he would talk. But, you know,
I'll never forget that.
I do like that. You know, that's what I like. I like seeing the media, you know, wanting to bite off their own, you know, chew off their own legs and stuff. That was fun. But, so anyhow, what we're looking, but yeah, good question. But with Ohio State, my friend from Ohio State, I think you've got the inside track this year. I'm not just saying it because Jim Harbaugh left and we don't have our quarterback, running back, wide receivers, you know, offensive and defensive lines that we had last year. Because we do have a lot of talent coming back that's going to surprise many. But Ohio State does what I begged Michigan to do for decades, and they finally started doing it, but they just can't do it at the level of Ohio State. They won't open the damn checkbook up enough. I respect Ohio State for saying we're going to win by any means necessary. That's all I ever wanted. I wish we would have been Ohio State. That's what everybody gets it. They get misconstrued when I say Ohio State was cheating since 2001 with Claret and Tressel. I wanted to be doing that. I was jealous of them doing that. That's what I wanted to do. So, you know, that's what I want. Hey, welcome to the channel, Razor. I appreciate you tuning in, my friend. Nepic said, should I go long? Well, I'm going to tell you, this would be the first chance that you could, as long as 497 holds right now, and it very well could have a quick spot drop, but right now, this is suggesting a possible reversal here, not just in the 3 hourly or 4 hourly, but the daily has a reversal candle. So if I was saying, should you go long? You could, but just be aware that if we get rejected at 50, we're going to call it 508, like we said before. If we get rejected at 508, that could be an issue. But as long as we're over this area, you could even see about 495 even now that I look at it. But it does seem to suggest that we could have a sneaky reversal about to take place here. There's no doubt about that. And even more so if I put this into the daily, because this got pulled down a little bit. This should be like this, but we definitely are showing signs that we put in a sneaky, and this is where we say, okay, I understand that a bear flag formed here. Look at this. This is where the market manipulators like to slap us in the face, and they like to trick us with their own emotion. Because we talk about the body so much. See that? This is what everybody's talking about with the bear flag. Just like that. What I always say is be careful when you have wicks that pull up, and then they form what look like could be these bull flags that sneakily try to pull up, because it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bull flag in the traditional sense. What I always try to say is, what if now it has to come up for rejection? Even if bearish, we've got that dot cross already confirmed here, and the 50 is about to cross the 200, so this could be signifying a pattern reversal. Either way, even if bullish or bearish, even if bearish, it's very unusual not to retest that and show bearishness. So to me, if you were going to go long, this is a better time than yesterday, because you at least could see your limit if you're not looking to ride this through the whole consolidation. If it were to bust back in there, well, obviously, then you would have to sell out. My suggestion would be, depending on your funds, this would be a good spot position to open up. And then if you get a quick 9 to 10%, this is what I'm looking at. Or if you're what the heck is that? What are they?
Organic apple cider vinegar.
Ooh, I'll take that.
Elderberry.
Ooh, I like both of those. Bring them over to... I like those. Yeah, apple cinnamon. Those are both good.
Ooh, this has zinc in it too.
Yeah, those are good for what I like to take. I'll look at Julie coming through clutch with some apple.
Sorry, I keep bothering you.
Oh, here, you got to stay out. Look.
Well, yeah, but
Oh, is teas in there? Oh, okay. Apple cider vinegar. That's what I like to see. Julie always buys me the stuff that I like. She knows that I'm weird. I won't do what most people do. Okay. Well, she is awesome. I have no doubt about that. So, and then she got me elderberry. She knows I like elderberry. She knows what I like. What can I say? She had to walk back inside. Our son's in the living room. Sorry, I just wanted to eat that. Interesting. So, what does everybody think about that? About this observation here? And we're trying right now. We did create a little bit more of a high here. This looks like an engulfing candle, but it's really going to come down to how we start out here. I think it's going to open in an engulfing fashion, just not very much of an engulfing fashion, but it's going to stay more than that halfway point. So this is going to be top tier. So this really, if it's going to push out here, this is the moment to do that. So we've got 22 minutes until the close. I would love to read this very quickly. And then I would like to go back into what Stanley said. In the FE4 Life, we already showed, I showed your chart, but you were showing on that, the more expanded view now of after the price action that's occurred over the last 24 hours with your inverse head and shoulders. We're going to look at that again before we leave. But we still got time here. We've got time. I'm appreciative of the audience. And as you can see, I ignored the only bad comments there were. There was only 2 of them. But I've learned. And we got everything out we needed to get out. So I think, you know, you do a cleanse. We did a cleanse. Yesterday, this morning, we did a nice little cleanse. And now we're back to where we need to be together. So let's read this very quickly. Cryptocurrency whales stir up Ripple XRP market. Price correction looms. Oh, beautiful FE4 Life. I would love to see that. If you send it, let me know. I'll pull it up during the live. Correction looms amid uncertainty. So they're taking the perspective here that we have a looming correction, which would mean that they're looking at that 50.5, 50.8 cent area to be a rejection. They're calling it the 50 cents, but all the same, all the same. If you would like to join me with relaxation, I highly encourage you. So an intriguing twist to the unpredictable world of cryptocurrency. XRP finds itself in a precarious position, potentially on the precipice of a price correction. Recent trends suggest XRP has been hemmed in by resistance level of 50 cents, which has spurred debates about its imminent direction, bullish or bearish. The situation is further complicated by significant on-chain data over the past 24 hours. There's been a flurry of activity by the so-called whales of cryptocurrency. The powerful players, and as FE4 Life brought up to me in a email, he was talking about, or maybe it was a comment on YouTube, it was one or the other, but he was talking about the fact, might have been a comment now that I think about it, that just because whales are loading up doesn't necessarily mean it's going to dump right away. That just could mean as well, and this is very true, that they could be pre-running a move that they anticipate. Maybe they have some news that we don't. Maybe they see something, but it's enough confidence to maybe that they're unloading off their wallets back to exchanges so that they can sell on the next pump, which could mean a pump and dump is coming. So could that mean a rejection at 54 maybe if it's going to have the move? But it doesn't necessarily mean they're just going to sell here. So be very careful with that. And I think that's a very valid point that he made. Hope some of you read that through the comments as well. The what factors here are that these transactions have not all been in one direction. Some signal a potential sell-off, while others reflect large quantity of currency moving from crypto exchange into private wallets. XRP's whale watching activities have surged recently, with the past weeks bearing witness to substantial whale movements. The general sentiment hints toward a bearish tendency among these major investors, indicating a potential obstacle in XRP's route towards price correction. On April 16th, numerous transactions of considerable volume. So if you haven't heard this the last few days, I chose this article for a reason. It rehashes everything that's gone on in the last practically 72 hours. One of the most noteworthy transfers of 158 million tokens, which was valued at about 77 million USD, from a private wallet into the Binance crypto exchange. What's going on? The considerable injection sparked concern among holders anticipating a break from the bearish momentum towards an upward price shift. In a similar vein, a separate transaction saw a transfer of 28 point. I've never seen it in terms of a similar vein before when they talked about transactions from a wallet to a crypto exchange or vice versa. Interesting. In a similar vein, a separate transaction saw a transfer of 28.9 million XRP worth 14.2 million into Bitstamp. Meanwhile, however, there was concurrent indications of an XRP exodus from Binance into private wallets. Take, for instance, the 3 rapid-fire transfers of 100 million XRP estimated to be worth roughly 48 million into private wallets. Each transfer involved 33.33 million XRP amounting to 16.2 million. Adding yet another layer of intricacy, the day prior, April 15th, saw a massive relocation of tokens. The figures are staggering. Transfers of 457 million XRP valued over 234 million into crypto exchanges BitThump, Bitvavo, and Bitstamp. The most imposing of these was a transfer of 390 million tokens worth 201 million into BitHump. Such immense whale transactions are instrumental in shaping cryptocurrency trends. Prices could pivot dramatically based on the actions of these select big players, casting a long shadow of volatility and uncertainty over XRP's current price. By the time of this report, XRP was trading at 49.8 cents, not much off, about 0.3 of a penny higher the last we've seen. Despite a marginal increase of 1.79% in the last 24 hours, the price appears to be retreating after briefly touching the 50 cent mark. The altcoin continues to be in a phase of price correction, marking a decline of 18 and 20% over the past 7 and 30 days respectively. From the analytical corner, a prognosis suggests a dramatic rally for XRP. Isn't this funny how they say this? Up to $22. Several experts predict that the altcoin's price will witness an extraordinary rise following the Bitcoin. So, mind you, we've never been past $3.30 or $50 based on exchanges we talk about, or different, exchanges prices. But they're suggesting after the halving, we somehow have a chance at 22. I mean, to give them credit, they never said when after, so it could be into oblivion. But so, and Mr. Stanley, thank you for sending me this. So, in the Senate of the United States, this is a, so basically this is a stablecoin, this is a bill for stablecoin. I might as well just call it a stablecoin act. But in the Senate of the United States, Miss Loomis for herself and Miss Gillibrand introduced the following bill, which was read twice and referred to the, I guarantee nobody read through this. Our Congress does not have the wherewithal to go through 176 pages. I 100% guarantee you nobody read past page 1. Maybe they read past a few pages, but not one of them in office read this entire thing, and to think otherwise would be nonsense. A bill to provide for effective, but I better be careful because I don't want to get banned, to provide for effective regulation of payment stablecoins and for other purposes. 1, be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America and Congress assembled. Section 1, short title. This act may be cited as the Loomis-Gillibrand Payment Stablecoin Act. In this act, so Section 2 is definitions. In this act, algorithmic payment stablecoin, the term algorithmic payment stablecoin means a crypto asset that issues a payment stablecoin under Section 7 consistent with Section 11, SI, the controller or state bank supervisor as applicable, or the board. B, in the case of a state non-depository trust company that issues a payment stablecoin under Section 6, the applicable state bank supervisor and the board acting jointly. Out of curiosity, does anybody, actually I think I missed some. Does anybody appreciate this kind of stuff? So A is represented by the issuer is otherwise designed to create the reasonable expectation that the crypto asset will maintain a valuable or a stable value relative to the value of a fixed amount of United States dollars and relies on the use of an algorithm that adjusts the supply of the crypto asset in response to changes in market demand. For the crypto asset to maintain the expectation that the crypto asset will maintain a stable value, applicable payment stablecoin regulator. The term applicable payment stablecoin regulator means with respect to a payment stablecoin issuer. In the case of a depository institution that issues a payment stablecoin under Section 7 consistent with Section 11. We read through that part. So now let's go to page 3. We're going to get through the nuts and bolts here. So Bank Secrecy Act. The term Bank Secrecy Act means A, Section 21 of the Federal Deposit Insurance Act, 12 U.S.C. 1829B. B, Chapter 2 of the Title I of Public Law 91-508, 12 U.S.C. 1951, blah, blah. And you guys can see the subchapter 11 of Chapter 53 of Title 31. United States Code. Board, the term board means the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System. Comptroller, the term comptroller means the comptroller of the currency. The controlling interest, the term controlling interest means a circumstance when a person directly or indirectly or acting through or in concert with one or more. See, when you have to put language like this and all this bullshit, you know, we know what this is. They're filling it with a bunch of BS until you get to the nuts and bolts because they know their constituents don't have the wherewithal to get through this. They've already stopped reading already. Say, oh my God, we know what all this is. Owns, control, or has the power to vote 25% or more of any class of voting securities of a depository institution or holding company thereof. Controls in any manner the election of a majority of the directors of a depository institution or holding company thereof, or has the power to exercise a controlling influence over the management or policies. So, what we're going to do here is every single day, we're going to read through 5 pages until we get through this entire damn thing. Maybe 10. We'll see how this goes. Maybe 10 pages a day. Complete or partial replica of the ledger, which may be public or private. B is synchronized between the nodes. C has data appended to the ledger by following the specified consensus mechanism of the ledger. D may be assessed. And if anybody is leaving during this and you own crypto, shame on you. Because if you own crypto, don't you want to know what they're passing in Congress that could hinder what you're trying to do? Or show you that they're trying to enact some kind of bill that can make things slightly different on what we own? I think you might want to. D may be accessible to anyone or restricted to a subset of participants and may require, or E, may require participants to have an authorization to perform certain actions or require no authorization. 10, institutions affiliated party with respect to a payment stablecoin issuer, the term institutional affiliated party means. And for anybody who doesn't think I'll read through this whole thing, remember what I read through the 50-something pages of the Ripple versus SEC when we got the actual judgment. I read through every single page. We had to do it over a series of lives. And same thing I'm going to do here. We're going to do it dedicated every single time. Any director, officer, employee, or person with the controlling interest in or acting as an agent for the payment stablecoin issuer. B, a consultant, joint venture partner, and any other person that participates in the conduct of the affairs of the payment stablecoin issuer. Or C, any independent contractor providing services for the payment stablecoin issuer, including any attorney, appraiser, or accountant. See, and this is stuff we need to know. So this is page 6. Insured depository institution. The term insured depository institution means A, an insured depository institution as defined in Section 3 of the Federal Deposit Insurance Act. B, an insured credit union as defined in Section 101 of the Federal Credit Unions Act. 12, national payment stablecoin issuer. The term national payment stablecoin issuer means a depository institution chartered by the comptroller or a state bank supervisor, which is approved by the board to conduct payment stablecoin activities under Section 7. 13, payment stablecoin. The term payment stablecoin means crypto asset. A, that is or is designed to be used as a means of payment or settlement. B, the issuer of which I is obligated to convert, redeem, or repurchase for a fixed amount of United States dollars or II, represents or creates the reasonable expectation that the crypto asset will maintain a stable value relative, and this is important because we learned in the beginning what some of this meant, maintain value of a fixed amount of United States dollars, and C, that it is not United States coins, a Federal Reserve note, or other lawful money, which they should say currency because the only unlawful here. This is lawful currency, it's not money. We're not talking about gold and silver or precious metals here. As I take offense that it doesn't say lawful currency, as that term is used in the Federal Reserve Act 12 U.S.C. 411. Money issued by a central bank or money issued by an intergovernmental organization pursuant. It's interesting that they would put this in here. Let's read this. Money issued by a central bank or money issued by an intergovernmental organization pursuant to an agreement by one or more governments. So it cannot. So a stable coin, it's saying cannot be issued by a central bank or money issued by an intergovernmental organization pursuant to an agreement by one or more governments. Well, if that's the case, WorldCoin is a pile of shit. If this is the case, they're basically telling everybody who holds that, oops. Or II, a security issued by an investment company registered under Section 8A of the Investment Company Act of 1940. 14, payment stablecoin issuer. The term payment stablecoin issuer means A, non-depository trust company chartered by a state bank supervisor that is registered or required to be registered with the board to issue payment stablecoins, or B, a depository institution chartered by the controller. Cape Cod Kyle, welcome in. I greatly appreciate you tuning in as always, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for several months now. I greatly appreciate that. A depository institution chartered by the comptroller or state bank supervisor that is authorized or required to be authorized to become a national payment stablecoin issuer by the board to issue payment stablecoins, including we're going to go to 10 pages today, as I stated, and then every day it's going to take about 18 days for us to get through this entirely. So a depository institution subsidiary of an insured depository institution or bank holding company. 15, state bank supervisor. The term state bank supervisor has meaning given that term in Section 3 of the Federal Deposit Insurance Act. Sub-custodian in Section 16 here. The term sub-custodian means a person that maintains actual possession or control of the private keys relating to a payment stablecoin and has a contractual relationship with the custodian of record of the payment stablecoin. Section 3, general requirements for payment stablecoin issuers. Now we're getting into some of the meat. These are some of the money shots here you have to pay attention to. Stablecoins generally, 1, issue a payment stablecoin may only be issued directly or indirectly in the United States by a non-depository trust company that is registered with the board consistent with Section 6 and for which, okay, maybe WorldCoin is back on. With the board consistent with Section 6. See what they just did here? Stablecoin issuers. Stablecoins generally, 1, issue a payment stablecoin may only be issued directly or indirectly in the United States by a non-depository trust company that is registered with the board consistent with Section 6 and for which the nominal value of all outstanding payment stablecoins does not exceed, 10 million? I think that's 10 million. I don't know. Yeah, I think so. As adjusted under subsection B, or by a depository institution that has been authorized as a national payment stablecoin issuer consistent with Section 7. 2, prohibition of issuance except as otherwise provided under paragraph 1. It shall be unlawful for any person to engage. Okay, 10 billion. That seems better. I knew something wasn't registering in my head. That wasn't registering. If it's 10 billion, that makes more sense. My brain wasn't functioning what it actually was saying. Of issuing a payment stablecoin directly or indirectly in the United States through any means or instruments of transportation or communication in the United States or to a person in the United States. 3. Offers or sales. A, in general, except as otherwise provided in this section, it shall be unlawful for any person to offer or sell a payment stablecoin through the use of any medium or by any means of access in interstate commerce in the United States, or to offer or sell a payment stablecoin to a United States person living in the United States. B, exception. Subparagraph A does not apply to the sale of a payment stablecoin by a United States person living in the United States. B, adjustment of threshold. Not less frequently than once every 4 years, the board shall issue. Oh, they're leaving themselves a lot of loopholes here. Rules adjusting the threshold under subsection A1A solely to account for inflation. Oh, I'm glad that they care about inflation so much that they keep printing money to oblivion. We appreciate you for that concern. C, algorithmic payment stablecoins. It shall be unlawful for any person to engage in the business of issuing, creating, or originating an algorithmic payment stablecoin. D, safe harbors. 1, in general, the board shall issue regulations providing limited safe harbors from this section that are consistent with the purposes of this act. 2, regulation requirements. Regulations issued pursuant to paragraph 1 shall provide that any safe harbors applicable to a payment stablecoin issuer shall be made available on an equal basis to any issuer chartered by either the comptroller or a state bank supervisor. 3, safe harbors. Safe harbors under this section may include a pilot program allowing for limited issuance of payment stablecoins by entities not otherwise authorized under this section, subject to appropriate safeguards and oversight in order to foster responsible innovation and competition in the payment stablecoin market. And, because we have to finish the sentence, and a safe harbor for payment. We'll finish this starting on page 11 tomorrow. So anybody who's watching, only a few people left. So I admire everybody who stayed. For the ones who left, I guess they're not interested in crypto. But everybody should want to know all of that. Every single day here for the next 16 days now, we're going to go through that entire 160 pages. 10 at a time. It's the Loomis-Gillibrand Payment Stablecoin Act. Yep, it was introduced, and Stanley shared it with me through my email. So I figured we would go through it together for the next 18 days, doing 10 pages a day. Okay, so this is his updated chart off E4 Life as we're talking about the left shoulder, inverted head, and inverted right shoulder. So this is the inverse head and shoulders. Yes, Gregor Manarino was on fire today as always. I love that guy. I love that guy. He doesn't even know I exist. But that guy, he does something special for sure. He was definitely pro-crypto today at the end, for sure. Did like a good 5-minute spout into it, too. I like how he told everybody, if you don't like crypto, you're not going to like this next segment. So, but he's the same as I was, man. When we were buying in, we were buying in. Now it's a lot different to just say, oh, you're going to buy in. Even though we still think crypto is bullish, it's a lot different buying in on some of the assets when they're up a couple 100% rather than buying in when Bitcoin was between that 17 and 26,000. It's that simple. And one point that he made that everybody needs to understand, as long as you have profit, you're not wrong to take profit. You're never wrong to take profit, ever. Period. Point blank. Don't let everybody tell you that you are. And honestly, we experience the same thing he talks about. The ones who try to tell you what to do, when you're in the midst of your own trade making money, and they're on the outside looking in, why on God's green earth would you take advice from somebody who had the wherewithal to make the nice move that you did, or had the balls to make the move, or the cojones or stones, or even the intelligence or the understanding of a chart or an asset to make that beautiful call? But no, this is nice. This is nice, but the inverse, even if it were to fall out a little bit, it's not, you don't really have to worry about it, because this inverse right shoulder, it might not even be showing you the proper inverse shoulder. It might even come down farther. you might find this gapping. And what I mean by that is if you expand this over, let's just say you gap that right shoulder on the support that you have. I don't even know if I can do it on this because I only have it pulled up from here. Let me save this. Why doesn't it ever save this? We're just gonna have to circumvent it. We'll just, I guess, just save it to the entire drive. I would like it to save on here so that I could show everybody something. I guess it doesn't want to. That's weird. Oh, downloads maybe. No. Damn it. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? But what I was trying to say is if it pulls down, let's say it comes to 498, you'll be able to update this, and that inverse right shoulder is not invalidated yet unless it breaks down past. That's roughly, what, about the 494 level it could come down to and not invalidate that. Yes, you'd technically want it to hold where you're talking about. It wouldn't be bad. But for a reason that I showed everybody, and Stanley, thank you for that PDF, because we're going to go through that over the next approximately 18 days or 16 days, whatever it takes us. Before everybody says it's going down, be careful. We're technically on the outside of this. What one could argue, what the hell is going on? It keeps shifting. It keeps moving that, but I want to make sure it's in the right spot. It's technically on the outside here of this, what could be perceived as a bull flag. That could be a small bull flag that formed here, and it would have a technical move to the top side to 54.40. If this breaks down, it's 42.50. So pay attention to both sides. But like I said with the close, that is an engulfing candle midway. We talked about the possibility that if it wants to come down, it could touch 498. Otherwise, it's going to be engulfing, and it's going to shoot up relatively quickly up to that 508 level, and then we'll find out what's going to happen. But right now, pay attention to the retap if it does push down here just a little bit after the close, as it or that's not the daily. What am I talking about? That was a 3-hour lead. The daily, same thing though. It's a slightly, this is more like slightly engulfing, and it very well could come all the way back down to like that 496, 497, and just hug this pattern. So I don't necessarily think you could say it's ready to break down just yet. I would have a little bit of faith here. It's got to correct here, though. This is what I was talking about at the start. It's going to come down here. Make no mistake about it. They're not just going to let it run unabated. They got to do this to take out the longs. Now, on any nice pullback here that looks like it's going to hold, if it looks like it's going to hold this area at 497 or 496, that's a nice area, but it's very dangerous. It's very dangerous. The neckline could be flat as well. You're absolutely right about that. So just pay attention to this, everybody, as our time here is short. I got to go help Julie because the kids have school in the morning. The girls are going to be taking showers, and I want to make sure I can help her with our 4-year-old. So I do appreciate everybody. Just watch it from that sense. Watch it from the sense here of the retest at 497. Oh, yeah, H-bar. Yeah, if it comes below 497, it's going to be interesting because then it's not necessarily a fake out. But if that pattern gives way to the downside, then we know it would be a fake out and it'd go down to 42 and some change at best case scenario, more than likely. H-bar's up 0.73% at 8.2 cents. And to me, H-bar almost filled out its technical move. It didn't necessarily come all the way down, but that might have been an overestimation. Oh, it absolutely was. Look at that. I made an overestimation. I don't know if I did it from I don't know how it got stretched out like that. Ooh, never mind. I guess it hit where it was supposed to. Look at me look like a jackass. It actually did it perfectly. Whoops. Don't listen to me. But no, it filled out the pattern perfectly. It filled out the pattern perfectly. If it was going to have a retest, it had a technical drop. It hit 6.6. Now we've got short-term movements here. It's kind of like XRP right now. Looks like a small W could be formed here. But for this pattern right now, you still have to come back up, and really, before you feel comfortable about retesting the upper levels, I would say that 8.8 area. But if you look at this longer out, it filled out the technical target, filled out the technical drop point. So for it to do anything more than that, and it back tested in a more extreme way, that former pattern. But what we have to be careful for, everybody who's a fan of H-bar, watch this. Make sure that this doesn't form a left shoulder, head, right shoulder. If it comes up here and gets rejected, that's a head and shoulders formation. All that tells you is you likely would reset down here if that happens at about 3 cents. So just pay attention that that doesn't form, or even to a smaller extent if it gets rejected. Just make sure it doesn't turn into a head and shoulders. Do I see XRP being gold and XLM being silver? I mean, if you want to rake it in regards to the status in cryptocurrency, but not on a one-to-one value. Not yet. I don't think that that's the reason why they consider it a gold and silver. I think in its own digital terms, it's going to be classified as that, but that doesn't mean it's going to be a one-to-one relation to gold and silver. It just means if it in fact gets backed by either of those assets, that you're going to have an extraordinary price increase, not depreciation, but appreciation. The DXY is forming a bear flag. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's even if it comes up here, even if it were to complete this in a technical fashion and come all the way up, it could turn this from a big bear flag. It could, in the 1 minute. But even in the longer time frames, it was trying to make a bear flag on the DXY. But it could be coming up to a double top. Or even worse, it could just break through. I don't know, the 1 minute. The 1 minute's dicey, but this is definitely trying to show a little bit of a reversal. But the 1 minute's so short. So short. But that's basically what I got, everybody. Take it to heart what I showed you all. B2 Gold. This is one that I'm very hardcore watching here on the open, because it came down to our target, and it even came, I was waiting for the double bottom, and it came down to 261 or 260 today. So right now it's very, very intriguing for me. I just got to make sure that that I hit this perfect. Yeah, see, that's exactly where it needs to be. So right now, I'm very intrigued about the possibility here. But I'll keep everybody updated in the next day or two if this creates that. The problem is it's got this bear flag, and I know very well if this plays true, we're going to be finding ourselves down near the 230 level. So we got to be very cautious that this doesn't break through. So just pay attention here. Good times coming here in the precious metals markets. You know, it's going to be a continuation here at some point, but we're going to have some fun here. Made a few $1,000s on that last push in precious metals, or commodities, I should say. So just pay attention. Make sure if you're still here at hashtag Be Better, Do Better in the comments. But I do appreciate everybody. Have a blessed evening, and thank you all for the back and forth. It means a lot to me. It really does.